Hello, I'm Eve Jackson in Paris. Today, a day in the life of a principal ballet dancer in New York. In 3 weeks, this video has had nearly 100,000 hits on YouTube. Simkin and the City shows the American ballet theatre principal Daniil Simkin jollying around New York City. The Russian whiz kid, who has a pop star following on the web, has arrived in Paris to perform. Daniil, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you've taken the world stages by storm since the age of 12 in Helsinki, Vienna, New York. What's it like dancing in the streets, though? How does that
Well, it was more like a joke, and it was more, we just wanted to do a video. We just wanted to fool around, basically, with a friend and choreographer of mine. And we just wanted to try something else and something different. So we just went on the street in a costume, and we kind of winged it in 2 hours, basically. It was very easy.
And how does ballet fit into real life, did you find?
It's a little bit surreal, I think, because you know, we create this sort of persona and this sort of artwork on stage, but then if you take it out of context, it is weird. First of all, for yourself, because you never do it on the street. You get all these weird looks from people and everything. But also, it must look really weird for the people surrounding you. So, which you can obviously see in the video. You get sometimes such looks that it's whoa.
Well, on the internet anyway, it's had a huge success. 100,000 hits, I think, on YouTube last time I looked, or just under. You are really big into social media, which is very rare for a classical dancer trying to connect with the audience. I mean, why do you do that?
Because I think that our art form and our little world, which we live in as dancers, has, in a way, a lot of potential to be interesting for so many people, but so few people think of it as new or fresh or interesting. And in a way, I try to open up the kind of mystique about ballet and be a bit more open-minded about it, and just show little pieces here and there what our world is like, what our art form is like, and hopefully get some more people to follow us, watch the ballet, and come to the shows.
And what do your kind of dancer colleagues think of it? I mean, are you trying to get them into it?
I mean, 3 years ago, everybody was furious. Why are you doing this? I had a lot of criticism coming from all sides because nobody else did it, and it's a way of self-promoting. It's a way of being self-centered, egocentric. But in my opinion, it's my way of giving back to the audience, because they, you know, when you go on stage, you get the applause, you get the appreciation of the audience, of the people cheering you, and this is my little way of giving back by showing bits and pieces of my life, of our art form, of other people surrounding me. And yeah.
And audience numbers are undeniably dwindling. I mean, do you think this is one way to bring the audience back in, and are there other ways as well?
Of course, because our generation lives in interesting times, because we were born and we grew up with a computer and with devices which made connection inevitable and seamless for us. So we can directly communicate with the audience, which has never been there before. So in a way, it's interesting what people can do now, and it's all, to me, it's a little bit of a game, how many likes a picture makes compared to other pictures, and what people like, what people dislike, what you can show, what you cannot show. And it's clearly one of the ways to lure people into the theater and let the art form grow at the same time.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about how you started out. Now, you were born into a family of ballet dancers. Your parents are ballet dancers. Talk about it in a second, but this is a clip of you dancing with your dad.
All right.
A little bit of family rivalry we can see there. Now, as I said, your parents are ballet dancers. You appeared on stage alongside your dad, I think, when you were 5. That you only kind of started formal training when you were 9, and then there were 10 years after that of private ballet lessons. But you didn't go to ballet school, which is what most people do tend to do. I mean, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think both, because on the one side I felt very privileged because I had the undivided attention of my mother, because we would spend 2 hours a day approximately in the studio together with my mom. I would dance alongside my father on stage, and it was kind of normal for me to be backstage, be in the theater. It was like another day at the office, you know. So on the other hand, it was difficult because you know, now when I see parents seeing their kids dance, everything is beautiful. Oh, everything is great. But now when my parents watch me, they normally say it was good, but, and then the corrections come, and the honest opinion, which I really appreciate and which I feel lucky to have. And sometimes you hear things you don't want to hear, obviously. But nevertheless, that my mother taught me for 10 years gave me the chance that I had a relatively normal childhood. I went to a completely regular high school. Like, I finished my Abitur in Germany, which is the equivalent to the baccalaureate in France. And it gave me a certain groundedness, which gave me the possibility to see our world in which we as dancers live, also from maybe another side, because most of the time dancers grow up already in this bubble, which is very small and sometimes contriving. And it gave me the opportunity also with the social media and everything to open all of this a little bit up and hopefully expand our world a little bit.
Okay, well, let's have a look at another performance now. This was last year in Tokyo, a solo called Key, and includes video images produced by your father. We did perform a lot with your father, as we were saying before. I wanted to ask you actually about body stereotypes that come for men, because I mean, obviously we've seen things like Black Swan and it's all focused on women's bodies, but is there a lot of pressure for men as well?
It depends on your body type. Inevitably, our art form is very selective in that sense, that everybody who becomes a dancer has certain predispositions to be a dancer, certain genetic predispositions, flexibility of joints, length of muscles, and everything like that. And it depends from body to body, but obviously all of us have to have a rather healthy lifestyle, not all the time, but in the big picture. And some people need to watch what they eat. I mean, I love my sweets. I will never give up my sweets. But sometimes when you have to put white tights on, which you're almost naked on stage, you want your legs to look toned and muscular. And for that sense, you have to take care of what you eat, and you have to be mindful of what you eat. Of course, you have to let go sometimes, and then you can, lose a little bit. But it really depends.
Now you're here in Paris as you're performing for the Stars of the 21st Century annual International Ballet Gala. Now you travel all over the world. I wanted to talk a bit about your ambitions. I mean, where are you going with this ballet career? Because you're still very young.
Yes, where am I going? I try to, in general, I think too much and I think too far ahead, and I try to pull myself back and think year by year at least. Obviously, I would like to dance on the main stages of the world, one of them being the Opera Garnier in Paris. It's one of my dreams. Other than that, you know, just see where life takes you and just be open for any sort of experiments or possibilities which will come up in the future.
Okay, Daniil, good luck. Thank you so
Thank
much
you very
for joining
much.
us here on France24. And a reminder for you guys at home, Daniil Simkin is performing in Paris this weekend at the Champs-Élysées Theatre for the 16th Stars of the 21st Century Annual International Ballet Gala. And that brings us to the end of the show. We're going to leave you with a bit more of Simkin and the city. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook or me on Twitter at Eveling in Paris. Thanks for joining us. See ya.